Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. Thanks for coming out on a cold morning. At least the rain has held off for us, so hopefully we won't get wet when we leave. The message you're going to hear today is around the topic of thankful for contributions of our nonprofits. We'll provide you a good, warm feeling outside. Not only are these good agencies doing great work, the folks in our community, they are also stimulating the economy with their local spending, hiring, and participation. I'd like to ask each of our speakers to take a minute to introduce themselves and their organizations, include their mission, size, number of employees, and annual budget, service, and their service to constituents. We'll start off with Major Mark Craddock with Salvation Army.
Good morning, everyone. You may have to repeat all those questions again. My name is Major Mark Craddock. I am the area commander for the Salvation Army here in the Midlands. And if I got all those questions right, there's about 50 of us that work for the Salvation Army. We'll ramp that up to around a good 75 to 100 during the Christmas season. We're approximately about between a $6 and $7 million annual budget throughout both the area command, the family stores, and all those other pieces that incorporate the Salvation Army. And there are three major focus areas that we deal with, and that is we deal in food insecurity, housing insecurity, and youth services. And so everything that we do wraps around one of those three service areas. Did I answer all your questions?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay.
Erinn, CEO of Harvest Hope Food Bank.
Good morning. My name is Erinn Rowe, and I am the CEO of Harvest Hope Food Bank. We are the food bank that supplies food to our needy in a 20-county footprint from the Greenville upstate area all the way down to the PD employees. We have about 75 full-time employees and utilize 200 to almost 300 volunteers daily between our three branches to distribute our food. Our budget is typically 63 million to 65 million. What else did I miss?
I think you got a mission.
Our mission, so basically what we do is we do the heavy lifting for our partner agencies. We are the logistics hub. If you think of an Amazon distribution center or Walmart distribution center. So we have the warehouses, the tractor trailers, the infrastructure to collect and house and store typically 22 to 30 million pounds of food per year that we distribute to our agencies. Both of these agencies with me right now are part of our infrastructure, so we can do the heavy lifting for them where they can come pick up the food and they don't have to have all those supplies.
Okay, and Beth Struble.
Yep. Yes, Beth Struble. I'm the Director of Development at Senior Resources. We are an organization serving Richland County seniors, providing coordinated services to empower seniors to live, remain healthy and independent, and the choice to remain in their home. We have about 54 employees right now, 16 are full-time, and we operate on about a $3.3 million budget.
Great. Okay, getting to know our groups a little better, we have a few questions for each of you. The first is we know nonprofits do a lot for our community, but unfortunately, we only think of what nonprofits do during certain times of the year. We think of the Salvation Army when we see people ringing a bell. We think of Harvest Hope Food Bank when we're meal planning for Thanksgiving. And we think of Senior Resources during the holidays when we're scared that seniors could be home alone potentially. How can we help you and your constituents throughout the year?
That means you.
Oh, sorry.
We can go down the
All looking at me.
Default.
Well, we're all looking at me, so I'll go ahead and get started here. The reality is in the nonprofit world, we actually do operate all throughout the year. It's not just bell ringing at Christmas or those types of things. And so at the Salvation Army, there are all kinds of ways that you interface with a nonprofit organization, in that it could be anything from collecting food for our food pantry all throughout the year. It could be anything from coming and reading to a kid. We focus specifically on elementary and junior high school, middle school kids, getting reading levels up to where they're supposed to be. So we want every third grader at the Salvation Army reading at a third grade level, every fourth grader at a fifth grade level, every fifth grader at a sixth or seventh grade level. You can actually support our family stores with your donations and coming in and bringing in your groups to help come sort clothes and those types of things. The reality is that every piece of clothing is totally recyclable. So I tell a lot of people, when you're going through your spring cleaning and you're looking at stuff and you're going, my kid has worn this for 12 years and no longer fits and it's got holes in it and it stinks to high heaven, throw it in the pile anyway because it's completely recyclable. We can turn that around to cash, invest it into other programs and everything. And so one of the things I like to encourage people to do in your businesses is to get a cross section of your company put them together and give them a volunteer project at the Salvation Army, sorting out food, working in the family store, reading to kids. One of the things I like to do is get one of my HR people, one of my accounting people, one of my kitchen staff, and one of my custodial staff together and give them a project at a different nonprofit. For example, we were moving cases of water for the city's rapid shelter, Columbia, and my kitchen workers and my custodial staff are throwing cases of water around like it's nothing. And all of us office people are huffing and puffing and breathing and dying. And they're laughing at us. And the social interactions between that and cross departments is something we greatly do for you. And at the same time, you're helping benefit people all across the community.
Erinn?
So yes, people actually eat more than November and December, despite what everybody believes. There's a lot of things that drive food insecurity. I always say it's a symptom, not a root cause. And we really try to look at what the root causes are. As you've heard, food insecurity plays a part in all three of our agencies. You have to eat to live, and that's kind of just a basic human need. And that is why we're here. So if you're looking at how to approach how to help, we do have different programs that typically are higher throughout the year. You know, you see food increase over the summer because they're out of school. The holidays, typically your electric bill's higher, food prices are astronomically high right now. So we've already seen our line increase. I'm sure all of you have seen an increase in need to, probably with your own organizations and purchasing food, because inflation's made a huge impact. So I really try to encourage community volunteers and partners to look at it as a year-long project, meaning come once in the spring and once in the fall. Have it a part of your conversation. How do you as a company help impact the removal of these root cause issues, whether it's healthcare access, transportation access, affordable living, all of these play a part into where people spend their money versus buying food.
Yep. So just to piggyback off of both of them, you mentioned isolation with seniors. We think of that during the holidays because we're getting together with our families and starting to enjoy time with the ones we love. Our homebound seniors are typically alone every day. So throughout the year, the volunteers that they see from Meals on Wheels are sometimes the only people they see every day. So it's not just November and December that they're isolated. It's typically all year. And so what we're delivering is more than a meal. It's a wellness check to ensure that they are safe in their home and they are getting that friendly hello and that human interaction every day.
Yep.
Well, we'd like to support you in many ways, and Major, you touched on this some on the volunteering, but what ways can we support you monetarily and, ways to volunteer?
All right. Volunteering is super simple at the Salvation Army. If you'll take your right hand, just stick it out like this. Come on, you can do this. Take your hand, put it like this, move your wrist like this. You are now pre-certified bell ringers for the Salvation Army. Right? You can do this. Now take that same hand, right? Close it like this, move it down to your knee, lift it up to your shoulder. You can now lift angel tree bags from the floor and put it in somebody's car. You're pre-certified, right? There you go, right? It's really that simple. So my friend Shannon is here. I lost Shannon. There she is, Shannon over here. And so if you're thinking, I can do that, right? And sometimes with bell ringing, it's even easier than that. You stand in front of a Walmart. It's a cold day. You're shivering. You don't have to do a thing. The bell rings itself, right? It really is super simple. And then, one of the benefits of living in the United States is that charitable dollars are tax exempt, and we invest that into our communities. And the reality is that the federal government, the state government, the city government depends on nonprofits to fill gaps within their programs. And so that's why that's so vitally important for us and your support. The reality is none of us in the nonprofit world can do much of anything without the partnerships with the for-profit community. It's really that simple. And one of the realities is that in the nonprofit world, we're not competitors together, we're collaborators together, right? I don't have competitors in the nonprofit world. I did when I worked Pizza Hut, right? But not so much in the Salvation Army. And so you've heard, I'm dependent upon my friends at the food bank for food supply. And so, all of those things work together. You get a bigger bang and return on your investments investing in nonprofits than you do in other places. And it's super simple.
Those monetary donations are tax exempt. I think you said that.
Yep.
You know, I think people love grand gestures. They're amazing, but I always encourage everyone that nothing is too small. I think you feel sometimes what's not enough. $5 is enough. An hour is enough. You know, going and buying one extra jar of peanut butter is enough because everything that you do touches a human. So we can't make it too much and it's not too little. So I would just encourage you to figure out a way to give back. You know, when you think of hosting a food drive, that's a really easy way to create competition. All of it goes right back to our community. So I love to say, and everybody's like, what do you want? What do you need in a food drive? If it's been sitting in your grandmother's cabinet since 1975, we probably don't want to eat it. Just that general rule of thumb. You know, I definitely appreciate the generosity, but I always just say, if you would feed it to your family, that's what we want to feed to the families that come and partner with us. It's hard for mom to create a meal with like mayonnaise and pie filling. I don't know why we get a lot of that. We get a lot of that. So just kind of be cognizant, you know, if your kids like it, if you like it, if it's shelf stable, if it's nutritious, you know, that's what we're looking to hand out to our seniors and our partners at Salvation Army. So just be aware that nothing is too small. We love volunteers in groups. We love volunteers that just an individual. You know, money is always a necessary need. We can make your dollar go farther with our buying power. So sometimes your dollar, we can make it go 5 times farther. So nothing is too small. Always give back and just, you know, together we are going to end hunger, but we're not going to do it by ourselves.
Glad you touch on the pantry thing, because I know that's how we get all the expired stuff. We don't give it away, but that's how we discovered at my house. is
Yeah.
when there's a
We
food-
can go, here's a fun fact, if anybody would like to know this. So we can give out food to the manufacturing expiration date. Grocery stores typically keep food to a best buy date. As you all know, something that is by its best buy, typically, you know, depending upon the product, could have a 6-month to 2-year life cycle. Grocery stores can't sell it, but we actually can distribute that. Every donated product that comes into our facilities, we actually have volunteers look at it to make sure it's safe and edible, because we are dealing with food. We want to make sure it's not creating health issues, but just because it's not to the expiration date or it's at its best buy date, we can still take it. Once again, 1975 is a little long, but within reason, 6 months to a year on most shelf stable items, we can still take.
Great. Yeah, so obviously the financial piece of it does help our organization. They're expecting by 2030, seniors in South Carolina are going to outnumber children. Our community is growing, the senior population is growing. We currently serve 400 hot meals every day, but we're trying to reach 1,000 by the next year and build our capacity to serve more seniors in our area who are facing the food insecurity and isolation. But just touching base a little bit, it's more than just that meal. We're trying to reach them earlier with a lunch bunch. They join us at Lizard's Thicket once a week, again, to try to reduce some of the isolation. We have our Pet Pals program, which is in-kind pet food donations, and we're providing the pets inside the homes with a monthly supply of pet food. Besides the monetary, the in-kind is just as important for our organization. With 250 volunteers every week delivering those meals, we wouldn't be able to serve as many as we're serving if we didn't have volunteers join us every day and help get those meals to the doorsteps of those seniors. So yes, the in-kind pantry items, incontinence supplies for our at-risk seniors who are receiving the home care, and volunteer hours are just as valuable as the monetary donations.
And this might be in another organization, but senior care donations of like paper products and stuff, is that promoted as well?
Yeah, so the seniors are they're food insecure, and we're trying to reduce their financial cost in the home. So yes, a lot of them need basic toilet paper and paper towel needs. Incontinence supplies is a huge one. Diapers cost, I think, $40 a pack, and you know, they're going through those quickly. And so we work with diaper banks and Harvest Hope and whatnot to use those, but it is a cost for our organization that by receiving them in kind, we're obviously reducing and able to serve more.
Well, we know nonprofits face a lot of challenges too. What are y'all's most significant challenges, and how can the people in the room help y'all?
Go down the table again.
Let's do it again.
All right.
We got a line.
All right. Yeah, we got a pattern going. We'll keep it going.
Yeah.
The greatest challenge in the nonprofit world is the same one that many of you are facing. There's inflation and talk of recession. Now, when you're dependent on donor dollars and all of a sudden your donors are paying more for their own groceries and paying more at the gas pump and paying more for their, even if it's just perceived inflation. And then you couple into that the talk of recessions in 23. And what ends up happening is donors become a little more reluctant to let go of their discretionary spending. Because we're preparing for that for our own families. And so in the nonprofit world, when we start hearing things about inflation rates consistent and those recessionary pressures coming, we get a little bit nervous about that. That impacts everything that we do. Because again, we are totally dependent upon the generosity of our communities. And when that generosity is blunted in any manner, we have to make adjustments for that. So the greatest risk, in my opinion, coming up to us the next couple of years are those two inflationary and recessionary pressures.
I would agree with that, because if you look at inflation, recession, it's harder for us to get the funding and resources that we need, but it also increases our client list. So it's a offsetting in the negative way environment. Right now for us, what we're seeing is really just supply chain issues still. You know, if you look at grocery stores, if they don't have food on the shelves, they don't have additional. We get a lot of retail grocery store food. If you also see from a political landscape, there was a lot of resources available during COVID. Our USDA commodities were budgeting probably a 50% reduction this year that we're hoping to get. So for instance, if we had $12 million last year, we're hoping to get to 6 million, but that is actual food that's not coming into our building that we're distributing. So, you know, the politics play a huge part in all of our organizations that use federal funding. The SNAP or the Medicare, Medicaid increases that we're seeing. What's going to happen is with Social Security increases, it's going to out income a lot of our seniors that are eligible for SNAP. So it's actually going to reduce their total cost or availability of funds overall, because they're going to have such a reduction in SNAP, because that 13% Social Security increase takes them out of the SNAP benefit range. So we're also, with the increase in seniors, seeing less of funds available for food and housing and things like that as well. So there's lots of things that play into creating a need. And that's why when we talk about it, we have to really look at the root causes of it and not just let's feed a person, because that always changes. And it is going to take all of us to do that.
Really, they're touching on all the pieces like it's me, but yes, inflation, we just received a huge inflation in our food costs, which is going to drive up our Meals on Wheels, which is our largest program at a $1.5 million budget. When that inflation happens, you know, if county dollars and federal dollars aren't keeping up with that need, we have to go to a senior and say, we can't feed you, which is not okay. So then we're trying to seek the private dollars from local businesses. But again, if the inflation's there, then not saying the generosity is not there, but it may be a little bit lower for this year as we go into 2023. Product line, the buses we use to transport our clients to and from our wellness centers are 2 years behind production line. So we are constantly fixing buses, but we can't buy the buses because they're on a 2-year wait list. And we can only work with the one Palmetto Bus Sales through, they have the state contract, so we can only go through them to purchase our buses. So it's an ongoing issue, which we're trying to meet the need, but doing the best we can.
Okay, well, what kind of vendors do y'all contract out with? Because we all know in this room that small business is all about relationships. So what kind of vendors do y'all contract with, and how can we get in your network?
Well, the getting in the network is simple. Just donate it. You're in, right? And then, I'm a music education major in trumpet. And I was always amazed at the number of people that said, hey, come play our gig and we'll give you exposure. And like, well, that's great, but that doesn't help me eat. And so the reality is that just like any other business, we have all kinds of vendors that we contract with. I have preferred vendors in everything from HVAC to plumbing to food processing to who fixes my vehicles to who cleans my carpets to all kinds. It's that same sort of network that everyone else has. And the reality is that I have a business card file like most other people. I collect them everywhere I go. I get lots of them here, to be honest with you. People slip me their card, and everything from the handyman that's fixing our rain gutters on the buildings to, hey, I've got a senior or a client down here who needs the screen door fixed or their front door fixed so we can do better efficiency with their utilities, all those types of things. And so I would just encourage you, the nonprofits are just like every other business in the world. We've got the same kind of physical plants we've got to maintain. We've got food vendors. We've got all kinds of suppliers that come in. Unfortunately, paper towels don't just show up. I actually have to go out there and find someone who sells that stuff. So it's the same process there. And then, the other part of that is that I'll give you a great example. Amy over here, who donated her printer that she wasn't using anymore, and that gets us in, we love the Chamber of Commerce for the networking part of it, just like you as well. And so those same vendor relationships that you have in your business happen in the nonprofit world too. Give me your business cards. I'll take them.
I will say when we go through RFPs and we're looking to purchase items, like you said, from our fleet vehicles to maintenance to food, if you volunteer with us, your card gets put on the top of the pile pretty quickly, and it is a partnership. So if your community and your business is giving back to the community and we need your services, that's a great partnership, because then your staff actually gets to see the results of volunteering. And then when we were looking at our purchase process, we really wanted to focus on making sure we were not part of a problem, but part of a solution. So a lot of times when we're looking to purchase equipment or food or a vendor process, we really look to those businesses that are in an underserved community or smaller minority-owned businesses, because if we're going to spend the money anyway, I want to spend it in a way that's actually creating a sustainable South Carolina.
Yep. So I touched on two of our biggest vendors, which is our Icafanos, our food vendor, which holds a state contract, and same with the Palmetto Bus Sales, which holds a state contract. Those dollars are reimbursed with federal dollars, which our Department of Aging holds. But yes, we host a number of vendors that work with our offices and enterprise that host our fleet of cars that our home care aides take out every day. But like they said, we like to partner with local businesses. We serve Richland County. We know local businesses are invested in our community. They're invested in our seniors. A lot of the people I go to, yes, are volunteers who I make a personal connection with, and I know what they're doing. And I reach out to them first for help. So as far as getting involved with our organization, volunteer, see who you're serving, see who you're impacting every day, because it'll make you want to get involved with our organization and partner with us. But
so it sounds like volunteering is the first way to start that relationship.
Foot in the door. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that segues great to the next question. So we've talked about volunteering. Can you tell us how we go about doing that? Like, is there a website or call or get your business card? Like, how do we volunteer?
Yeah. Volunteering, again, it's just super simple. SalvationArmyMidlands.org. Or call Shannon, and she's got cards over there. And by the time you're out of here, we're probably going to meet you at the front door and say, here's a card, here's a card, here's a card, here's a card. We encourage you. All through the year, bell ringing angel trees are critical key for volunteer opportunities for us at this particular point in time. So our fourth quarter in the nonprofit world, the fourth quarter is vitally important for our success next year. It sets us up. We'll have conversations come February when all those numbers roll in of what realistically can we do in fiscal 23. And that will happen now. So the more volunteering that we get in that Christmas season, the better off we're going to be next year. But it's super simple. SalvationArmyMidlands.org, see Shannon, and we'll get you set in.
We have a website as well. It's harvesthope.org, and there's a big button at the top that says how to get involved and volunteer. And that's where you can learn about hosting a food drive or volunteering at any of our branches and the opportunities that we have. So we love to see you.
Yep. If you visit our website, seniorresourcesinc.org, again, a big volunteer button on the top right, can't miss it. We have opportunities for Meals on Wheels. Not everyone has a lunch break. We understand that. You can do Pet Pals on Saturdays. You can join us at a wellness center for a game of bingo. Lots of different opportunities. I did put some cards, some business cards on the back table. That's a great way to get in touch with us. To volunteer, you can text that number or call it. But the application is on our website. Just click that giant orange volunteer button.
Well, keeping in the volunteer thing. So like I said earlier, we all kind of think of y'all in these seasonal areas, but do you have another busy season? And when do you need volunteers the most? Because I know years ago, the first time I wanted to go help out on a Thanksgiving, they're like, we're good. It's like, oh, well, I guess that was an original idea. So when do you need people other than just during these, heavy times?
I would say that's probably for all of us a year-round endeavor. We're most visible during the Christmas season, the fourth season of the year, or the fourth quarter of the year. But the reality is that, the programs and services go year-round. And so, all of us, the food drives, volunteering in our family stores, volunteer helping kids read, mentoring kids. We have a great partnership with the University of South Carolina Medical School that brings their students in to tutor kids, and books specifically for elementary kids. I want every kid, every boy in my place to read the book Hatchet, which is a phenomenal book for boys. And The Dangerous Book for Girls is another great one. But volunteering is a year-round thing. The needs are always there. Food needs are always there. Education needs are always there. And so there used to be in the summertime, we take a month off and just, kind of chill out and relax, go to Disney World or whatever. And that didn't happen anymore. I mean, the nonprofit world, just like yours, is in constant cycle. So there's no downtime anytime. Now, there are times like Thanksgiving, we may have to say to you, everybody wants to volunteer at Thanksgiving for some reason. We're all thankful people. And so there may be some of those types of things we're going to, well, not Thanksgiving, but can you come over here instead? But I can't think of a time off the top of my head where there's not something going on that you couldn't be involved in.
I would say our kind of valley is January through the end of March. That's a unique time of year. It's kind of the kickoff for business season. So a lot of our corporations, that's their busiest time of the year, getting ready for their strategies, which doesn't necessarily involve volunteering typically. So we have a lot of volunteers that do give back over November and December. That January through March is kind of when we really need people to step up. That's also when there's usually an increase in need. Your electric bill's higher, typically, funding his it's Christmas time, that's an expensive time of the year. So we do see a lot of need during that winter months. And there is usually kind of a dip in volunteering. So we would love to see y'all January through March.
Yep, it's an ongoing need. We've got those meals going out every day and they've got to get delivered. So it's the same need Monday through Friday. I would say our dip in volunteers is typically in the summertime. We use a lot of students from local universities to help deliver those meals, and they do it for service hours while they're all gone in the summer. And also our regular volunteers, rightfully so, take wonderful vacations, but once those are gone, it's hard to fill. So we have a greater need and more open routes during the summertime.
Maybe we can send out a reminder during those two periods to these folks. Okay, well, before we take questions, I want to give a chance, like you've already said websites, but are there other ways to stay in contact with y'all or to share your stories? Like, are you on social media, stuff like that?
Yeah, social media is our friend, just like it's yours. And ours is Salvation Army Midlands. You can get all that on the social media, the website, take you everywhere you need to go. Anything you ever wanted to know about the Salvation Army, you can access through our social media accounts or our website, salvationarmymidlands.org. That's probably the simplest, easiest, quickest way you can access your phone, whatever, any device that you got.
Yeah, I mean, that's social media is the window to the world right now. So we're on all platforms. It's a great way to kind of follow and see what's going on in your communities. Our website is pretty robust. I think most of the questions you have, you'll find answers. If not, you have contact information for myself and all my leadership team. Please feel free to reach out. I love talking one-on-one, taking really a deep dive in how each of us can work together.
Yep, and we use social media platforms as well. And then as well as our website, seniorresourcesinc.org, but we're on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
So everybody give them likes and follows.
Do it.
Okay, well, we'll open up the floor
Shares.
now. Any
Yes.
questions?
Lots of shares.
I will say that because you made a good comment and a lot of people don't realize kind of the algorithm of social media. So if you see our post, it actually gives us wider visibility if you share it versus like it. So if you see things, you know, I usually encourage my board and my advisory boards to share at least one post a month because that gives our organization access to all of your friends and family that follow you. And it does upset the algorithms in a positive way. So it does give more exposure to nonprofits by sharing than versus just liking.
Does your board listen to you? Because I try that all the time.
I can see on social media if they do or not.
Great. Well, okay, we got a question back.
All right, so I want to how do you feel about working together? Like, nonprofit network. Like I work in Texas, so you put a collection box, you know, like the bottles like that, and we can market it on. So you reached out to other organizations like yourselves to.
Absolutely. Yeah. You know, I don't know about my friends here. This is my 30th year in the Salvation Army. And about maybe even 10 years ago, nonprofits were very siloed. This is what we do. This is who we are. Thank you very much. If we need you, we'll call you. And that has transformed into that collaboration we talked about earlier. We've come to a point, the United Ways were very instrumental in this process of breaking down those silos and make us much more collaborative. And so you see lots more strategic partnerships, much more collaboration among nonprofits. You know, that is music to my ears that I could put an Angel Tree, a toy drive collection, or a food barrel in your lobby, and you would say, hey, or school supplies in that lobby, and say, hey, us and your organization have partnered together. We're very, in the nonprofit world, there's large value in co-branding, right? And especially with our for-profit friends, because you get the benefit of branding, co-branding with a nonprofit and all of the goodwill that comes with that. And we get to borrow your influence. And so it's a win-win for both organizations, but co-branding and those partnerships are key and valuable to the success of the nonprofit world. Mm-hmm.
I would say we're all stronger together. I mean, I'll use senior resources as an example. And this is just a random conversation we just had. I get a lot of donations of pet food. My shelf space I need for food because we run out of space in our warehouse. So I was like, I know y'all need it. Can I just call you? Because as soon as it hits my warehouse, I want to call you. She's like, yeah, we always need pet food. So I really try to work with our partner agencies throughout our 20 counties to see what those unique needs are that we can just quickly give a phone call. We get a lot of beverage donations. We really try to give those back to the community as well. So if you're having a fundraising event, if you're having kind of a, pick the community event, we have beverages that we love to give to your event in kind. We like to get a shout out on social media just to show that we are collaborating. But yes, from the siloed perspective, nobody works well in a silo. I mean, there's too much need and there's people that do really good work. And so if we can bring us all together, we can actually make change.
Yeah, I just sat down at a table with Mark Craddock over here just the other day, and we had the discussion of there's 400 something nonprofits here in the Midlands, and there's no reason to reinvent the wheel. So I would say in my 5 years at Senior Resources, we continue to build our partnership with other nonprofits because our foster grandparents couldn't go into the schools while Mark allowed them to come and serve at Salvation Army. So I think our partnerships are growing and the collaboration is only getting better as we move forward, and we're having to be strategic with how we do spend our dollars. And if a nonprofit over here, Harvest Hope, is doing a great job doing this, why do we reinvent the wheel when we can partner together and make a greater impact in our community?
I think one of the greater ones we've got right here in the Midlands is a great example is Craig's place over there at Transitions, where he runs all the homeless services, but we run his kitchen. And, because that's where our strength is and that's where his strength is. And we come together, we combine those two strengths and you get a much better return on your investments by bringing all those partnerships together. It's a win-win.
That's great. Any other questions?
That's a great one.
Well, thank y'all. What y'all do for our community is amazing.
Yeah.
Susan has
Oh,
a
we do that.
question.
Yes, Susan.
We invite you to come out. The chamber team is going to go out on rebels with us. So you don't have a big team and you want to come out and volunteer, that's go ahead.
Thank you.
Thanks. Let's give them a round of applause. Next up, we have a sponsor message from Charlotte Hodge of Blue Cross and Blue Shield.
Good morning, a little shorter. Thank y'all all. I learned a lot, so thank you for all that y'all do. I'm Charlotte Hodge with Blue Cross Blue Shield. We've had a long standing relationship with the chamber. And we work with small businesses, large businesses, individuals like all of you. And inflation was something that was brought up a lot today. Healthcare cost and health insurance cost is not exempt from that. So I recognize that everything is so expensive right now. So we do have some new solutions available. If you're looking to save some money on your health insurance, or if you haven't offered any to your business before, this is a good time. We've got some new creative solutions. So I'd love to talk with you. We have specific benefits for chamber members that other businesses don't have access to. So I'd love to talk to y'all about any of that if you're interested. So again, thank you all for coming. Thank you all for being here, and I'll be over here. Thanks.
Thank you, Charlotte. And we have some chamber updates from Ms. Henry Baskets.
Good morning. I am just not used to this room, not having all the tables full. But if you were like me on 20, there was a fender bender, and I mean a fender bender, probably just grazed somebody, but then the rubberneck starts. So then therefore everything is backed up, but I'm glad you're here. Before we get into anything that I would say, Adam, if you don't mind, let's take it just a brief second, go around the room and everyone introduce themselves. Let's start at that table.
Shannon, that Salvation Army, and I'm from here for the
Jordan Getzman with Queensboro National Bank.
Lisa Huffman, Salvation Army, you're in the dome.
That's a good evening, Logistic Dynamics, and I joined yesterday as well.
Lauren Ekstrom, I am with the Columbia Food Policy Committee and a foster parent at Edward.
Good morning, everybody. Brian Davis is here on the government work and administration.
And Brian is also on our Small Business Council, so thank you very much.
Fred Curry, Transition Partner Center.
David Phelps is the Dominic CPA.
Daniel Andrews, I'm a professional introducer, a long-term fan of the Columbia Chamber and occasional.
I'm Will Huff. I'm the new director of development at Oliver Johnson Mission, and I'm a new member of the chamber as well. Good morning. I'm Brad Saunders. I'm a practice manager for Carolina Physical Therapy and working under as of last month as well.
I'm Kelly Laird. I'm the Energy Ambassador for Energy Wide, which is a program that helps fund lighting projects, HVAC projects, any kind of building improvements. It is the money invested in nonprofit and all businesses of all sizes. We do have, solutions to help offset those costs of technology. And also we do have residential programs. I do not represent them, but it sounds like you have a need. So if you need that connection point and you're a nonprofit, please reach out to me and I'll connect you internally with that. And about you, I'm a power line.
Very on our custom cloud solutions and custom document solutions. We take care of all your technical business.
Hey, good morning again. I'm Susan McPherson with the Columbia Chamber, and I have the honor of working with local government, public policy, military and small business, so thank you all for being here. Thank you, especially Dr. Beth. I'm Carla. I do not appreciate it.
I'm Ariel Humphreys. I work for Rowe Financial Center Credit Union. A lot of you know Murphy. So I learned over alongside her and
My name is Houston Bennett, I'm account manager for the Community Energy Small Business Program, side by side with Kelly Lair. Small business, cover 90% of the project costs, so I'd love to give you guys free money. Yes, I said free money, so I'll be up here.
my name is Emily James. I don't have free money to give you. People and I'd love to have a conversation. Staffing needs also get on the board at Growing South.
My name is Mel Fleming. I'm a business volunteer at the store. And we do a lot of work with nonprofits that help create their business model, scale it so they can grow. And by the way, we can charge for a service.
Team member.
I'm Amy calling Muhammad. I'm the development manager and I've not met you. I would love to stop by and say.
Thank you very much. One of the things I'd like to share with you is a program. Each time I have the platform, I like to talk about our program called the Minority Business Accelerator. We've gone through almost 1 year. The graduation is December 7th. We had 8 businesses to come into the accelerator. We ended up with 8 businesses graduating from the accelerator. And I'm going to brag on our accelerator. In the Southeast, we were the only accelerated program that kept all of their businesses in it. Greenville lost businesses, Charleston, Tennessee, Charlotte, all those places. Gastonia lost businesses. We kept all 8 of our businesses. Why? What does that mean? And how does that impact us? Well, what it means is that a business came into our accelerator, and that business was trying to find a way to move to the next level. Most of the businesses at least made increase of 20 to 25% of their gross. Some have increased their gross revenue by 37 to 40%. So we're very excited. We are doing interviews for the 2023 class. Unfortunately, the application is closed, but I want you to keep that in mind. If you're a business or you know a business that has been in service for at least 2-3 years, you have to have at least $200,000 of gross income. That means you're ready to move to the next level, and we want to get you there. We want to get you to thinking like a CEO, so you can hire people who can support these nonprofits, so that our community is a better place. Saying that, one other thing I'd like to say, Naomi, would you stand again? Naomi is going to run the program for us. Naomi has been with us for almost 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Full 2 weeks tomorrow, so she hasn't been with us even 2 weeks. We are expecting great things for that program. I'm sure Naomi is going to do a fantastic job. Please reach out to her. If you know a business or someone we can work with to get a business into the MBA, we call it the MBA. The second thing is, we talked about partnership. We partner with SCORE. We have SCORE volunteers that act like coaches for those businesses. Every business in the MBA gets a business coach. Every business in the MBA also get a financial coach. So every business gets 2 coaches so that they can be successful. We're determined to help small and minority business grow and be successful in this area. So thank you very much for SCORE service. We also partner with, SBDC, which is with the Small Business Development Center. We partner with them, their coaches as well. So thank you for hearing us, Susan. Are there any more announcements about activities?
Absolutely. I'd like to invite all of y'all out to the military outreach meeting this afternoon. I'm sorry, it's at 2:00. It's out at the fairgrounds. We'll have a report out from all of our military commanders and also some of our partners who come out to support those military missions. So we'd love to have you come out. We'll also have a little bit of a brief reception so people have a chance to maybe mingle a little bit. 2 to 4 at the state fairgrounds. We'd love to have you come out there today. Also want to give a shout out to Alyssa and the Fireflies. They host us every month without charge, and they do a great job of setting up. And over the next couple of weeks, they're going to have the lights at Christmas. So if you want to come out and join them, you saw everything line went up. We didn't have the plug in this morning, but it will be plugged in for Friday night. That'll be the first session. So come on out for that. Our other partner, the state fairgrounds, has their lights at the fair. So please go out, ride through there. It's great. But both of these organizations are also providing free passes for our holdover soldiers who won't be going on for the holidays. So, Erinn, if you got any help you need over there, let me know.
I definitely will, yes.
Too bad. I don't know if I can let them go in the homes. I got to keep them as a group. So anyway, so many wonderful things going on. We do have a play shoot with the chamber on Thursday. It's going to be sunshiny, no rain, and it's sold out. So be prepared for next year, and it's going to be another awesome event. So thank you all for what you do. For supporting small business, for coming out today, and hope to see you Saturday. Take care. Adam?
I just want to thank all those new members. Thank you for coming this morning. Thanks everybody for coming, but we always need new members. And thanks panel again. We learned a lot and hopefully you get some more volunteers.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good day.
Beth, we didn't get a chance to ask for things this time.
I know. It's too bad.
You want to ask something else?
Oh, well, Beth and I were talking, the last meeting she referred to was with the junior league, and they said, what's your dream gift from us? And we were like, well, 1998 Emerald Green Ford Mustang 5-liter engine with a racing chip and the Mach 5000 stereo system. And they had the same reaction. They just laughed at us and moving on. So you got to dream big, right?
What year was that Mustang?
1998, this first one I ever drove.
First one.